So today I'll be taking a look at a scenario where the Dutch lost the Great European War in Adizz Pro's Wicso in episode 99. Now as of recording this video, the episode hasn't dropped yet, only episode 98, which was the start of the war, but in this video I'll be making sort of a war prediction over what I think would happen and over how I think that the Dutch could lose. And in a future video, I'll also discuss how I think the Dutch could win. So let's waste no time and get straight into this video. So at this very early point of the Great European War, and I guess that's how we'll call it, we have two alliances being the Diamond Alliance with Green France, Dutch and Russia, and the Square Alliance with Poland, Estonia, Finland, Norway and Denmark. But Denmark so far has been knocked out of the war, and we'll see how this war continue to plays out. Firstly, we'll see the Dutch start to make a landing over into Norway and even take out this little island, as they of course want to knock Norway out of the war as soon as possible so that they can go ahead and help their ally in Russia over here in the east with countries like Estonia, Poland or Finland. So they will continue to push over here into Norway, as they also want to recover a lot of their old territories. But here we see Norway is making a counterattack, and it's actually managing to do very well, recovering this island and pushing the Dutch back all the way to where they have begun. Over into Russia, they will start to make some advancements into Finland, also attempting to retake what was once theirs and to kind of regain their puppet or like control regime of Finland that they had back in the Second Russian Empire. But currently Russia's main goal is to kind of get here a trade route with the Dutch, and the best way to do this is to go through Estonia, and also Estonia is the weakest country so far, so Russia will immediately go through them in hopes to, well, destroy them and annex them back into their new empire, and they'll go like this and almost fully capitulate Estonia, stopping around here. Now we also see that they will start to advance a bit into Poland, but these advancements are a bit more harsh. They are met with a harsher response from the Polish armies, which are very anti-Russian. If you remember from the Black Sea War, basically Russia got destroyed and then Poland joined in and they got destroyed even more. So because of this, the advancements into Poland will be a bit limited so far. But now we'll see a new country joining the war on the side of the Square Alliance, and this country will be none other than Great Germany. Now if you remember in episode 98, the Dutch had invaded Great Germany and this didn't really sit right with them, and because of this they will join the war to retake back all their old lands and destroy the Dutch Empire. As we see the Germans advance over the border with the Dutch and start to reclaim their old territories, having a lot of success, as they also had a lot of Polish armies stationed in their country ready to go into the Dutch Empire, and they'll manage to push them a lot, and that's up around here where they meet up with the Austrian area, because this area is pretty mountainous, which will stop Germany for now from advancing further into the Dutch team. And now there come the Dutch, which will immediately smash through these territories and re-liberate their Austrian parts of their country and start to push very badly against Germany, as they are still quite a weak country, so they don't bring much benefit in this war, so we will pretty much see them fall back to their front lines. But now we'll see a new country join the war on the side of the squares, and this is Eastern Russia. Eastern Russia, similar to pretty much all the other countries, has gained freedom from Russia back with the Black Sea War, but they haven't really gained all of their land back. They still have a lot of land over here in the west that Russia still controls, and now with an expansionist Russia coming back they feel as if this is their best chance to destroy them once and for all. And now we will immediately see that the Eastern Russians will send their troops to the west and recapture what they used to own, but that Russia had taken previously from them, as now they are fighting for one last final time, and pretty much whoever wins is gonna get to destroy completely the other country, as these guys will immediately cross over this territory and recapture the fossil that used to be the blue Russian country in here, as immediately they divert their troops further west and start to advance over here more towards the core of Russia in hopes of maybe reaching their capital, although that's a pretty ambitious goal for now. And it's especially an ambitious goal when you consider that they are still fighting against Russia, so they'll end up, well, losing a lot of land and getting pushed back quite a lot, and this will lead to them losing pretty much this entire front line over to the Russian armies, and they remain only with this for now. Now going over to the Balkans and the Italian peninsula, something pretty interesting will happen as we see that Eastern Rome and the Sicily country both unified to reform Rome. And now with the recent Russian struggles here against Eastern Russia, we will see that both Estonia and Poland will manage to retake a bit of their lands, as Estonia retakes their capital and almost kicks the Russians back out of their nation, and something similar will happen in Poland as they reconnect with Estonia and pretty much totally decimate the Russians in their own territory as they push them back over the border here into the east, but not really so much into the north. And this is fine because Poland will try to do the same thing as they did back in the war against Russia when they were fighting together with Crimea, and they will start to advance into the Russian territory, attempting again to retake their capital and to take out the Russian capital, thus destroying the Russian Empire. And they will have a lot of success with these advancements, as Russia didn't put nearly enough forces into here. Plus now with Russia not fighting against Crimea but rather Eastern Russia, they have to divert their troops even more towards the Polish front. Granted, eventually when they do, the Russians will absolutely kick out the Polish and pretty much destroy them, but this will not stop Russia from continuing to lose over into the Eastern Front, as now the Eastern Russian armies are yet again advancing over through these territories, and Russia is kind of in a bit of a hazard as they are very close to losing their capital, their nation, as now they are pretty much sandwiched in between two invaders. But now the Square Alliance will mark a bargain deal with none other than Iberia Unitaria. Now Iberia Unitaria, the reason why they did this, and also Iberia Unitaria does have a lot of support from the rest of the Unitarian Alliance. The reason why they joined this war, and specifically on the Square Alliance, is because they want to take their revenge and annex Green France into their nation, as previously they were not really friendly with Green France and they see this as the best chance to destroy their biggest enemy. And with this we see the Unitarian armies immediately going into the Green French territory and quickly take advantage of this panhandle and take it, and now they immediately start to push over the Pyrenees, and with this, when they see themselves pretty dang close to the French coastline, they immediately decide to also go and take that, now bordering the Dutch Empire, but yet the Dutch Empire is still focused in Norway and in Germany, so they'll not really be able to send any troops yet. So because of this, pretty much Green France will die, and we'll see the Unitarian armies march over in here and take all of this territory, almost completely decimating and capitulating Green France, only holding out a bit thanks to the Dutch Empire. And as I just said, the Dutch are mainly focusing their troops on Germany and Norway. So because of this, the Dutch will immediately go ahead and kick out the Germans out of their nation and then start a push into Germany and absolutely decimating this country. It was already pretty weak, but now it's even weaker. Their capital gets taken by the Dutch, they get cut into two pieces, and with this we see that the Germans will capitulate over to the Dutch, and now Germany is out of the war. Immediately as Poland sees this, they will kind of freak out and decide to immediately send their troops into the Dutch, hoping to, well, save what was left of Germany when they capitulated. But they will be a bit slow in doing so, and the Dutch have already pretty much fortified all of these fronts. And now it gets even worse as the Dutch are starting to push further into Norway, and now they are taking a huge amount of land over into the Swedish areas of Norway, and then they meet up with this part, go over here and take this island, and now a very huge battle standoff will take place over into this island where the very big Norwegian fortress is. But thankfully in this battle Norway manages to win, and now the Square Alliance will send a memo to one of the Dutch's biggest enemies to join this war and manage to finally once and for all destroy the Dutch. And with this we'll see the newly reunified Rome join over with the Square Alliance and declare war on the Diamond Alliance and most especially on the Dutch Empire, hoping to finally and once and for all destroy the Dutch and their entire legacy that had previously destroyed Rome. As Rome will immediately start to advance over into the Dutch territory, first of all going into the more southern Austrian areas and push over in here, re-liberating the Swiss territories, and now they start to push around the Dutch coastline, and immediately as they see the Iberian Unitarians, they take advantage of them, as now the Unitarians take these parts of Green France, and together with Rome they will manage to cut off the sea axis of the militarized coast from the Dutch, and with this the militarized coast gets retaken by Rome and the Dutch are now starting to lose. Now Green France will get knocked out of existence by the Iberian Unitarians as they take their capital and from here push through the rest of their territory, and with this Green France is also out of the war and they die. Now going over into Russia, we see that Poland blitzes back through their old territories and retakes everything back, and also now Estonia does much of the same as they take their lands back, and also Finland will do much of the same as they go over in here and kick the Russians out of their nation, and now Russia will pretty much collapse. Now we'll see both Crimea and Seafoam Siberia joining this war on the side of the squares and declare war on Russia, and now Russia is at war with all of their neighbors except for the Chad Farmers Union. And now we see the Seafoam Siberian armies cross the border with Russia and start to re-liberate the territories of the former Archangel's country, and they are very successful as the Russian armies are collapsing, and together with Finland they encircle these Russian forces and manage to retake these parts, as now also these countries, most especially Estonia, but together with Finland, will also go together and invade through the former St. Petersburg nation and take all of these parts, and now we'll pretty much see Russia get partitioned. And now we'll see the gold Ukrainian country, which has had a lot of beef with Russia in the past and has lost a lot of wars to them, has lost a lot of land to them. Now we'll see gold Ukraine finally manage to defeat Russia as they go up north, manage to take their capital, and from here pretty much totally decimate Russia. Now Russia, with their capital lost, will pretty much lose all morale and hope, as now we see the Polish immediately go to the east and take out the final remains of Russia over into here. And finally, in these final territories of Russia, we'll see this country, the Eastern Russians, starting to push towards the west in an attempt to destroy Russia. And finally, we'll see the Russian government get overthrown, and we'll see the yellow team being re-established over in here. And now Russia has died, and Russia has ended once again. And now the final country in this war is the Dutch Empire. And now immediately we'll see the Norwegians immediately go ahead and blitz through Sweden, the recently controlled area by the Dutch, and manage to re-liberate all of their territories and even encourage themselves to go into Denmark. And with this, we see the Norwegians hop into Denmark and manage to re-liberate this country, and now Denmark is free and out of the Dutch control. Now we'll see the Polish armies march towards the west and manage to retake the capital of Germany, followed a couple weeks later for Poland to re-liberate Germany completely. And for one of the final but also most shocking events in this war, we'll see the Doggerland Alternites hop into the Dutch Empire, take their capital, and proceed to totally decimate the old Dutch Empire, as now they go over through their core areas and take all of their major cities and absolutely decimate the Dutch. And after this, we'll pretty much see all of their neighbors rush to take as much land as possible, as now we see the Iberian Unitarians quickly push up north and meet up with the Alternites armies and totally decimate the Dutch. Now we'll see Germany being re-established as a state, and immediately after this they start to push into the Dutch Empire as they send their armies over the border, once again this time managing to meet up with Denmark, and proceed to push towards the west and totally destroy the Dutch, as now they take back everything that they have owned. And from here, them together with the Roman forces will push over the last remains of the Dutch Empire. The Dutch Empire is one of the oldest countries in Adizz Pro's Wicso, but on this day their book officially closes as the Roman forces march over the last Dutch territories and totally destroy the Dutch Empire. With this, the Dutch had fallen, the last country in this war had fallen and has lost this war, and with this the Diamond Alliance loses this war and the Square Alliance wins it, now with countries like Rome coming back and old countries like Russia and the Dutch Empire now going extinct once again. And we can take a look at this peace treaty. Oh wow. Well, this is the peace treaty and it's a huge peace treaty, so let's break it down real quick. First of all, going to Russia, first we see that the Sifum Siberian country retakes back all of the territory from the Archangels country. The Eastern Russians manage to retake back all of their territory. Crimea takes a bit of southern land from Russia. Poland takes a bit of western land from Russia. Estonia and Finland don't get anything, but instead we see the old St. Petersburg country get released. And finally, for the remains of Russia, we see Russia going extinct and the yellow team gets re-established. Going over to Green France, this is pretty simple, we just see them getting fully annexed by the Iberian Unitarians. And finally, the elephant in the room, the Dutch no longer exist. First of all, we see the Crystal Kingdom, or if you wanna call it like that, Rome. They one, reunify, and two, take a lot of land from the Dutch, taking back Austrian parts, Swiss parts, and the militarized coast. All of this come back to Rome. Germany gets back all of their land, plus a lot of land over here in the Rhineland from the Dutch. The Norwegians and the Denmark country don't get any land, but they get war reparations. Then we see the Alternites in Doggerland get all of the core territory of the Dutch, including their capital. And finally, for the remains of the Dutch over here in northern France, this in the war was taken by the Iberian Unitarians, and this gets made into a new country. And this does it for this war, for this peace treaty, and for this video. I hope you liked it, and make sure to tune in into the next video where we'll see what will happen if the Dutch won this war. Goodbye.